Hi Tarot Tribe, it's Ethany, and today is day 26 of the 31 Days of Tarot. And today's prompt is: what has been the best piece of advice you've been given about working with the tarot? That is a very good question. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to let's have a look. There's a couple of things that I wanted to say. There's one on like the personal use of the tarot, and the second is like running a tarot business. So the first one is, what was the piece of advice that I got about working with the tarot? And that would be to trust yourself, trust what you're getting intuitively if you work that way. And just trust it. If the book says it's one thing and you're getting that it's not, then go with that. If you're feeling a certain way or you're feeling it's not right to accept a client, then don't. Always, and I guess this is really good advice for kind of like anything, is to just trust your gut, but just trust yourself. Trust that it is, trust that it's trust that you are being, just trust yourself. Listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, go with your gut. A million ways of saying the same thing. But yeah, don't worry about what everybody else says. Certainly get outside perspectives and certainly broaden your horizons, because if we form a little dome over our little lives, then it can be very difficult to grow. We can hit our own ceilings that we create. So definitely look at expanding and increasing your education and working with people and collaborating and reading and all that kind of stuff. But then at the end of the day, take what you like, leave the rest, as I always say. And trust yourself first. And then the second piece of advice I got was about running a tarot business and running a business. And I don't know, this is probably going to be controversial, and I'd really like people to respectfully chime in on this. Is I was led by one of my mentors not to always have a connection to the tarot, and that's not in the way that I always read cards. So the reason behind this advice was that a lot of people in the last 2 years who were in the tarot community were ditching being a reader, and doing other things, whether they were coaching or whether they were teaching or whether they were doing products or whatever it is, but they weren't staying in the space where they were also reading. And the reason behind this advice being given to me is that you can get very out of touch with being a reader. So if you're not reading and you start to teach, or if you're not reading and you start to provide products, or you're not reading and you start to coach, then you've kind of lost the context of what that information should be feeding into. So if you're coaching someone on being a tarot reader and you're not a tarot reader anymore, and the landscape is always changing in business, it's always changing in the way that we do things, political landscapes change, people's motivations change, things move and shift, then how are you really going to help? Yes, the coaching basics are the same. A lot of them can be the same. But it's like, if you aren't doing, then why are you teaching? Or if you aren't doing, then why are you creating products Anyway, so like, I'm not saying that you can't create a deck, because anyone can fucking create a deck. But a lot of feedback has been given around people who they see the difference in someone who's created something who also reads, and someone who's created something who has got no idea of their target audience, or someone who's built a very big website and then no longer reads anymore and just is like, okay, I'm done. And it's like, well, it's kind of like forgetting your roots. Now, I'm not saying that's true for everyone, but I'm really glad for me that information, when I received it, I was like, yeah, shit, that's true. Like, and I had to ask myself, do I like reading people's cards? I'm like, fuck yeah, I really do. Like, I would literally be doing this for free. So that was my answer. If you don't like doing it, then don't do it. Or if you're exhausted by it, find a better way of doing it. Find a better way of managing your time, of managing your energy going out. But if you do really enjoy doing it, if this was your love, then leaving that behind can make you a little, like, you can lose your roots. I hope I've explained that well. But that was a really good piece of advice for me at the time, and maybe that can resonate true for some of you watching. It is not, as I mentioned before, you take what you like, leave the rest. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but for me, those were the two best pieces of advice I've received about the tarot, and I will see you tomorrow.